Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. I'm Florian, good to see you. So guys, I got many questions from you regarding X-T4, X-S10 and X-T3 and which camera you should buy in 2021. And because there's no right and wrong answer, I thought we'd break it down today a bit and do a little comparison between the X-T3, X-T4 and X-S10. And this video might be a bit longer, so let's go and get a coffee first and then we're coming back, sitting down, relax and talk it through which camera potentially will fit your needs or which camera might be a good option for your current position. Okay guys, let's dive into it. And this is not meant to be a pixel peeping comparison. It's more like a hands-on approach, how I got on with every single camera over the last couple of weeks, which are my likes, which are my dislikes. And then perhaps you can pull your points out where you say, okay, this is what I need from a camera and this is what I don't need. And then perhaps it makes your life a bit easier to decide which camera body you want to go for. So let's start off with the budget. All three cameras are on Easter offer currently. The X-T3 for £1,000, the X-S10 for £900 and the X-T4 for £1,450. Body only. On average, the X-T3 costs £1,150, the X-S10 costs £950 and the X-T4 is £1,550. Body only. And now guys, it really comes down to your budget as well. How much money do you want to spend? Do you want to spend £900 or £950 and start off with the Fujifilm X-S10? You get pretty much the same specs like the X-T3 and the X-T4, and you could use the leftover money for different things such as like a mic, lighting or whatever it might be, or you want to spend the money into a trip and go somewhere to take pictures. It really comes down to your budget. How much money do you want to spend? How long do you want to use your camera? Do you plan to use your camera like the next 5 years? Then probably it's worth it thinking about it, spending £1,500 and get a fully spec'd camera. Or do you rather spend a bit less and you buy some accessories or potentially a second lens? So guys, there is no right or wrong. Start off with your budget. What is your budget? How much money do you want to spend or you can afford? Coming down to ergonomics, there is quite a bit of difference between the X-S10 compared to the X-T3 and the X-T4. Whilst the X-T3 and the X-T4 is just a slight difference in body thickness, everything else is pretty much the same, besides from a flip screen. But talking about button or dial layout, it's pretty much the same like a X-T3. The X-S10 got a nice deep hand grip, which definitely will suit a lot of people, and I was quite surprised about the hand grip and how well they made this hand grip. And I need to say this hand grip was really nice to use. But also the X-T3 or the X-T4 are very comfortable to hold, at least in my personal opinion. But also having an additional battery grip is definitely handy to have, and it will extend your battery life as well, which we're coming down to later on as well, to the battery life of all three cameras. So, and this comes also a bit back down to the budget point. Do you would like to have an additional battery grip for your X-T3 or X-T4, which can be quite pricey as well. So ergonomics wise, it's really up to your own needs again, what you prefer. Do you prefer a nice deep grip from an X-S10, or do you prefer the ergonomics button dial layout from an X-T3? The main difference between the X-T3 and X-T4 probably is the screen. The one or the X-T4 got a flip out screen and the X-T3 got a tilt screen. Personally speaking, I think the X-T3 with the tilt screen is definitely more suitable for photography than the X-T4. You don't need to twist out the flip screen, tilt it up, and then you take your shot. With the X-T3, you literally just flip up your screen and you're good to go. So guys, it's really, what do you like? What do you prefer? The grip from XS10 is definitely smashing. They've done a very, very good job with that. But also the X-T3 and X-T4 are very nice in ergonomics and handling. The photo specs are pretty much the same throughout those three cameras. You get 26 megapixel APS-C CMOS 4 sensor, so there's no big difference between those three cameras, and therefore it doesn't matter if you would go with the X-T4, X-T3 or XS10, all three cameras will produce beautiful images. One of the biggest differences between the X-T4 and X-T3 or X-T4 and XS10 compared to the X-T3 is definitely Ibis versus non-Ibis. But then you need to ask yourself, are you doing a lot of photography? Are you doing a lot of still images? Then you probably don't need Ibis, and the X-T3 will do a fantastic job. Are you planning to shoot more video? Are you planning to vlog more? Still, again, you don't necessarily need Ibis. You could take a stabilized lens like the 18-55 I'm filming myself currently with, and this lens would still do a great job. You can't do much walking and expect like a steady shot. But Ibis versus non-Ibis, back in the days, no one did care if we had Ibis or not. And if you think about back in the days, if you still remember those old cameras, no one literally did care about Ibis or not Ibis. So it really depends on what you're planning to do. But also you could use a gimbal instead of an Ibis. If you say, okay, I shoot now and then video or do some video projects, you probably will need a gimbal at some point anyway. So guys, there is no right or wrong. What do you need? Do you shoot more still images? Do you do more photography? Then probably you don't need Ibis. If you're planning to vlog more, if you do more video content, then probably the Ibis will be handy at some point. Let's talk about video specs. All three cameras can shoot 4K up to 30 frames per second, whilst the X-T4 and X-T3 also shooting 4K up to 60 frames per second with additional crop. The X-T4 and XS10 shooting 120 frames per second and 240 frames per second slow motion, whilst the X-T3 just shoots 120 frames per second slow motion. So generally speaking, all three cameras are very similar in their capabilities of filming. However, if you're planning to do more client work or potentially you're looking to do more professional work, having 4K 60 frames per second is definitely beneficial. Talking about bit rates, all three cameras can shoot 8-bit or 420 8-bit internally, whilst the X-T4 and X-T3 shooting 420 10-bit internally. However, all three cameras can record to an external monitor 422 10-bit format, but then you need to buy an external monitor, which costs money again. So do you need 10-bit? Do you need 8-bit? I've done a comparison between 8-bit and 10-bit, and I'm gonna link it up here so you can have a look, guys. I think that having the option of recording 420 10-bit internally is definitely an advantage. 8-bit will definitely do just fine, and I think if you do a lot of run and gun vlogging, 8-bit will deliver what you're looking for. You can shoot internal 8-bit to the Fujifilm XS10 and you're gonna be absolutely fine. If you're planning to do a bit more color grading, or you would like to tweak your footage a bit more, or you do a lot of solo shooting where you don't have always the control over the brightness, or the sun comes out and you get a bit of a brighter point, you got a bit more detail in your footage and you can adjust it afterwards in post a bit more than 8-bit. So guys, it's really again down to what you need, what you're looking for. I say for everyday use, the 8-bit internal recording with the Eterna color simulation will do absolutely fantastic. If you plan to do a bit more color grading and you would like to tweak it a bit more in post, I probably would go with a 10-bit internal recording. Touching onto f-log quickly. All three cameras can shoot f-log, while the XS10 shoots just 8-bit f-log. And there are many reviews out, many people saying you shouldn't color grade f-log shot in 8-bit because it falls apart in your editing software later. And I did realize this as well. Sometimes the f-log shot in 8-bit did fall quicker apart, or you did see more the bending in the images than from a 10-bit. However, what I want to touch on is the f-log view assistant, which the X-T4 and XS10 got, but the X-T3 is missing it. So basically there's an option in your menu where you can switch on f-log view assistant, which helps you to expose easier your scene when out shooting. So basically you don't see your flat profile on your LCD. It gives you a colored version, but you still record in f-log and get a dynamic range you're looking for, which is absolutely fantastic. Having this tiny help to help you expose when shooting f-log and seeing a colored profile but still recording f-log is absolutely fantastic. I wish Fujifilm would add this option to the X-T3 as well at some point within software update. So battery life, guys. I think the battery life from an X-T3 is alright. Right now if you use the battery grip and you add another 2 batteries to it, you get around 1,000 shots with the Fujifilm X-T3. The newer battery from a Fujifilm X-T4 is rated around 550 shots, which is more than plenty of images you take over the day. If you would go out shoot and you take one single battery with you with the Fujifilm X-T4, I don't see you really running out of juice for the day. However, using the older batteries in XS10, and let's say, are we talking about filming point of view right now? As I went out with the Fujifilm XS10 and done a vlog or been filming, I've gone through a few of the batteries. So probably I got out around an hour worth of filming from the old batteries. The new batteries from X-T4 are definitely last longer than the older ones. So generally speaking, those batteries, the old ones, are fairly cheap on Amazon. So you can buy 2 batteries, 20 quid with a charger, and you're good to go. So I don't see the X-T3 running really out of juice with the battery grip. And quite frankly, so far, I gone out for a shoot. I put the battery grip on, had 3 batteries in the X-T3, and it lasted me pretty much all day long, and it was absolutely fine. With the XS10, I definitely would recommend to get some extra batteries. You run quite quick through a battery right now if you do photo and video at the same time. So definitely recommend get some batteries, guys. If you got the XS10, you will need them at some point. The X-T4 runs on one battery roughly 2 to 3 hours when filming. At least that was my experience. When you do photography or you're just taking images, I probably could see the battery lasting longer, even if they say it's 550 shots roughly, but I can see the X-T4 running with one single battery for quite a while on a day. So battery life, with the newer batteries, you don't need to worry too much, but it's definitely good to have some sort of spare batteries just in case you don't want to run out of juice in the middle of nowhere, or you don't get a shot because you've been running out of power. Dual card slot versus single card slot. The X-T3 and X-T4 both having a dual card slot, whilst the XS10 got a single card slot. So again, do you need a second card slot? Would you like to have 2 card slots? Probably if you need to deliver some sort of images or footages after a shoot, it's definitely handy to have a dual card slot to say, okay, I can shoot RAW and JPEG or have my footage and backup footage, and you got a copy of your first card. doing it for fun, private use, or even sometimes for family pictures, whatever it might be, having the option of a single card slot on an XS10, it should be absolutely fine. Our technology is far enough that SD cards are very reliable nowadays. And I can't remember that ever a SD card crashed on me. Maybe once where I said, okay, I lost some images, but it wasn't anything crazy, or I didn't need to deliver anything to someone. And I've been absolutely fine with one single card slot. So again, guys, but it comes down to a price point as well. Do you want to spend a few more bucks for a dual card slot? Are you happy with a single card slot? What do you do? What are your needs? So I personally think that the single card slot so far done absolutely fine as well from an XS10. But having the option of a dual card slot and having a backup copy of your images or your footage is absolutely fantastic and great. And if you do it more professionally, then you would go for this option anyway, just to make sure you got a backup if something would happen. And here's my conclusion now, guys. The Fujifilm X-T3 is definitely a great bang for the bucks. You get a lot in this small package, and I think if you're starting out or you want to move into the Fujifilm world, mainly for photography, I definitely would go with the XS10. You got a flip screen, you got a nice deep grip, you got Ibis, you got the same specs like a X-T4. Or for someone who's looking to get into the Fujifilm world and wants an easy, simple camera to use, the XS10 is definitely a very good choice and potentially the easiest way to get used to the Fujifilm world. Let's talk about the X-T3. If you would do, let's say, 70% photography and 30% video, I definitely would go with the Fujifilm X-T3. Mainly for the flip screen for photography. You get beautiful images out of it. You get 26 megapixel. You basically got the same video specs like an X-T4 as well. The only difference is basically the Ibis, the battery life, and the flip screen. But if you're planning to do more photo than video, the X-T3 is definitely a good buy, and I would recommend to go with the X-T3. Batteries are cheap on Amazon, and the video specs are the same like X-T4, so you wouldn't lose out on any resolution. However, if you plan to vlog, it might be a bit harder, and you would need to potentially get one of those little mirrors you can put on the top of a camera that you can record yourself. But let's say you do mainly photography, the X-T3 is definitely a good buy for this purpose. So now we're coming down to the X-T4, which I currently film myself with. So if you want all options, Ibis, flip screen, dual card slot, bigger battery, then you need to spend the money into the X-T4. You get basically the XS10 and X-T3 combined in the X-T4. You don't make any compromises, you don't need to think about 8-bit, 10-bit, how many batteries do you want, dual card slot. You get a basically all around package, and so far my experience with the X-T4 is pretty good. And the layout, personally, I like it because I'm a big fan of X-T3 already. And I'm also a big fan of XS10, so don't get me wrong, guys, the XS10 is definitely a fantastic small camera. And for vlogging, I can see the XS10 really good for vlogging. However, if you're looking for an all-rounder, you want everything in one camera, then you need to go with the X-T4. There's no way around, no compromises, X-T4. So, if you're starting out and you're just getting into the Fujifilm world, go with the XS10. You get a very good bang for the bucks. You get high specs and an Ibis plus flip screen as well. If you're doing mainly photography, go with the Fujifilm X-T3 for their flip screen as well, which is good for portrait or photography in general. You can go nice and low and you still see your screen. If you're looking for all-rounder, go with the X-T4 and you will be happy as well. So guys, I hope this little breakdown between the X-T3, X-T4 and X-S10 was helpful, and I never say so many times X-T3, X-T4, X-S10. I should have put the counter somewhere here and counted how many times I said those three words. So guys, I hope this was helpful, and if you got any questions towards one of those three cameras, leave them down in the comments. I will get back to you as soon as I can. And with that said guys, like, comment and subscribe. Let me know what you think, and I'm gonna see you in the next one. Cheers guys.